saying
Oh,
about
yeah.
Saturn.
So recently there was, I think, the 20th to the 22nd century, there was the Age of Aquarius, right?
Yeah.
So, Aquarius, I think, symbolized something like gaining knowledge or some form of breaking of tradition in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because Pisces was like signified the necessity of like religious dogma, and a lot of by the way, I'm getting my like info right now from like scattered sources. That's why like what I'm saying is kind of scattered. But so Pisces was very, I guess, dogmatic, which is Pisces is like the first to the 20th century. Something similar to that. An Age of Aquarius was recently, and it's like it signifies. Hold on, give me a second. It signifies like breaking old systems, technological discipline, collective responsibility. Obviously, like this is a little post responsive to like what happened
Yeah.
at the turn of the century, like the advancement of technology and stuff. But it's still like, I guess it's in tune with like the invisible government of the stars. But Saturn is really interesting. At the age of Saturn, which is where we're going, is it destroys to rebuild. So in esoteric terms, Saturn's age is eternal. It's the cosmic law that time erodes all things, so only truth remains.
Oh, interesting.
So, I don't know. I just think that's kind of interesting. But that's kind of where we're headed.
Yeah.
Because I'm reading the beginning of the Discoverers, and it talks about how, the stars had a large part to play in stars and planets and astrology and all that had a large part to play in people's understanding of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And how they kind of made sense, and how they kind of mythologized
Yeah.
the world around them, because initially what they understood was the lunar and the solar cycle, particularly the lunar cycle. They based their world around the moon, which was kind of a little bit deceptive, because it really couldn't tell them like how to deal with their crops and agriculture. So eventually the Egyptians, they switched to the sun. They invent the sundial, and etc.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hey guys, lunar cycle, solar cycle. So yeah, so basically it's interesting how they kind of constructed somewhat of a worldview through the stars. So you see the inherent, I guess, nature trait of humans, using, we need some kind of like directive for invisible forces. We need to make sense of like invisible bodies directing our nature, in a sense. And so it's just interesting to see the progression across the different sciences to what we are mythologizing almost. Because now, I would say that mythology stems a lot from like the researches into like our atoms, our cells, etc. Like I was telling you earlier about how I'm watching these YouTube videos from a guy called Dr. Michael Levin, and he's doing like cancer research and a bunch of really crazy stuff. And like I don't understand half the stuff he talks about, but when you see a lot of corresponding concepts of philosophy and of pattern recognition bleed into these like directions that the cell takes. So like the individual cells need to have a collective goal of consciousness in order to survive, in order to have a drive. So they all need to share a similar goal in order to achieve it. The individual cells.
Yeah.
Like of a particular body, for example, like of my finger. All the cells in my finger. Wow, this is gonna be amazing audio. All the cells of my finger need to have the goal of making my finger work, almost.
Yeah.
And so that stems a lot of question, like, where does that goal come from, or etc. But a necessity is to recognize the fact that we do need that goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we do need a universal conscious agreement in order to get somewhere, in order to make something.
Mm-hmm.
And I think from that universal conscious agreement, it almost sets forth the conditions to make that reality a possibility.
Yeah.
Does it sound like I'm about to cry right now?
Yeah.
I'm not, guys.
So,
I'm not tearing up at my own
so that was,
revelation.
I was watching, Maps of Meaning. Jordan Peterson lecture, Maps of Meaning. There was one episode where he was talking about like cells and genetics, and it was really cool because he showed a video of this one scientist who made like a computer video like model of like the cells like it's like a zipper, like zipping together DNA.
Okay.
And like there's these little like robot cells that like can like fix stuff, and they are like almost sentient because they can like walk over obstacles, and it's like it's crazy.
So like, what I find interesting is even the stuff that makes up our design has a design.
Mm-hmm.
So like, the cells in our body designing us almost in themselves have a design to make that design.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can like, I guess my conclusion on this, or my meditation on this, is if we can like almost like consciously weaponize that. This episode is going to be a lot more you talking than me talking.
Yeah,
I'm going to do a lot of listening today.
Yeah.
This is like God telling me to listen more.
Okay.
To quote a Christian cliche, in any cause and effect relationship on my body, giving me a lesson, which I think probably is somewhat true. But like if we can weaponize that kind of consciousness and that concept of collective consciousness, then we can actually get somewhere. So I don't know what I think about it, but it's just something I've been thinking about.
Cool. I'm gonna go fill my water bottle and then we can get going.
Yeah.
Like going. You know what I'm saying?
Can you get me a thing of water too? The growth of science would depend on man's willingness to believe the improbable, to cross the dictates of common sense. Holy smokes, I can't talk. You're gonna have to hit a carry job today, dude. You're gonna have to carry the team.
You wanna prop this up so it looks like we're being really smart, and like put your tissues like down there.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look
hide
gross.
the human element.
Yeah. Hide the humanity.
And just show the
show
the machine
knowledge or something right here.
knowledge or something.
Boom.
You guys see that? There's books. You should read one.
This is our image for the day right here.
Discoverers,
The
dude.
discoverers, but
Read
more
it.
specifically this is what we're going to be talking about a little bit.
All right.
So welcome to episode 2 of the New Tradition. I'm Matt Barnes and that's Isaiah Campbell.
Yes.
And that's about it.
That's all we got, dude.
That's all we got for today.
That's a good episode.
All right, let's get into it.
All right.
Okay, so let's see. Last episode we finished off by saying that we were going to talk and expound more upon our concept of the Tower of Babel.
Right.
So I guess so to kind of like do a little tiny recap, our understanding of this kind of our understanding of the Tower of Babel kind of comes a little bit separately from our understanding of the rest of kind of the antediluvian world.
Mhm.
But it's still kind of related in that the idea that we have of, let's see, the physical death existing in the Garden of Eden, along with, what was it? Yeah, the constant, like, and an idea of death existing in the Garden of Eden is kind of like, it's not well, I guess it's like the circle of life kind
Right.
of from The Lion King, but it's also like, like God breathing in and out, and it's like
Right,
nature,
right.
kind of like that.
So like
yeah.
trying to become in tune with God's oneness
Mhm.
and His completeness.
Yeah, and so there's that. We're gonna talk a little bit more about the fall itself, kind of a little bit later. There's a bit of it that I want to touch on, but getting to the Tower of Babel, what we kind of discussed last time was that the Tower of Babel was maybe not necessarily a strict moment or like an exclusive moment in history, but perhaps rather a large portion of history where communication, or I guess we could say perfect communication,
Right.
was lost.
Mm.
And whether that is like having to do something with the development of human psychology, or if to take the more, calling it fantasy is kind of demeaning, but we'll just say fantasy for now.
Okay.
The fantasy idea of God coming down and being like, hey, you can't understand this guy.
Right.
Now, of course, that could have happened, but I think to take it just at face value like that, you kind of miss out a good bit on the deeper meaning of the impact that had on the rest of history.
It becomes almost like a storybook.
Right.
Like it becomes like a storybook tale,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of fine. Like we've emphasized the importance of stories,
Yeah.
like in our understanding of the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most important aspect of our understanding of the world.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna make a story, make it good,
Yeah.
and make it like stories. All stories kind of point to God in their nature,
Mm-hmm.
but some lead more to the essence than others. And
Yeah.
so if you like try to make a story very understandable, then what you're making is just a easily understandable version of your psyche and of like the human experience,
Mm-hmm.
and not really of a divine experience.
Yeah. Yeah, so I, to go off of more of kind of the story idea that you're talking about, the way I would think of that in terms of like maybe like the hero's journey is that like if we're putting like all of like history kind of into that, you have like the opening of the story is like the creation of the world and like the creation of the Garden of Eden and all
Right.
that stuff. And then you have kind of the inciting incident is the, well, I guess it would kind of be like the, in essay writing, it's called the exordium, which is like
Okay.
the opener. And that would be like the fall,
Right.
which is like the attention getter. It's like, okay, here's the story.
Right.
And then you have the inciting incident, which would be kind of like Abraham almost,
Okay.
and maybe you can kind of like squish Abraham and Moses like together as like the inciting
But the
incident.
inciting incidents of what? Because that like Abraham and Moses seem like more like an inciting incident towards the like kind of monotheistic route of history.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So sorry, I should explain. It's more of like, I guess for like specifically the Bible, it would be.
Okay.
That's what I meant. They would be like the inciting incident because it's almost like there's two inciting incidences, because there's like the like leaving your father's house,
Yeah.
but then there's also leaving Egypt, which kind of like restarts the story almost a little bit. but then also you could say that the inciting incident is Abraham, and then the crossing of the threshold, which is like it's like the third or fourth, I think it's the third like beat on the Dan Harmon story circle.
Okay.
Is when like the story really begins. So when you leave Egypt, now we're in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, but anyways, Tower of Babel.
Where would the Tower of Babel kind of place in that Fresno?
So right, okay. So then the Tower of Babel would see, because it's kind of hard because the Tower of Babel is almost its own inciting incident, but
Right.
more so, but not so really for like the monotheistic religion though. It's more
Interesting.
so for like history almost. Because
Interesting.
you can say it's like because it works well in the Bible as like an inciting incident, but also if you just leave it as like an actual moment in
Right,
history,
like a landmark in history.
it's just as good as saying like what Jordan Peterson says, which is it's like a moment of development, of like significant development in the evolution of human psychology. And so yeah, it's kind of like the inciting incident of history itself. Because you have, I mean, there's like, that's kind of like as far back as you can go in the Bible before you get to like the flood, and there's like no recorded history before then, like actual recorded history. Like we have like most of like all of Genesis before that is just it's not history.
Right.
And so the Tower of Babel is like the first moment you can say like, yeah, this is something that actually
Occurred.
definitely
Yeah.
happened. Yeah.
Because we can see its effects.
Yes.
Very
And
traumatic.
also you can like see it in like Babylon and the ancient Sumerian.
Right. You can see it in context.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, then and so the idea of the inciting incident for that moment of history is that humanity, something monumental occurs in going from a psychological perspective. Something monumental occurs in the development of human psychology at that point,
Right.
and which causes.
Could you extend that to like human consciousness?
I
Would you
think
say
it's
those are kind of the same
I
thing?
think
Like
they're the same
synonyms?
thing pretty
Okay.
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you would say that, let's see. Yeah, so something pretty crazy happened to the point where even though I'm speaking in English and you speak English, what I'm saying to you, what you hear and internalize is not exactly what I'm saying.
Right.
And the communication.
There's always like a distortion.
Right.
Kind of like
Because-
in Lacan's
Yeah.
object A, like what you desire is not the object itself, it's like the
Right,
desire of the
yeah.
desire. So like everything kind of becomes like a mirror, like a reflection.
And so even though it's like, so there's this idea in this kind of way, so there's this idea in TV producing where the space between the television screen and the human eye is a sacred space, which is something we've developed in the past century with the invention of TV. And so that's kind of like a good way of visualizing it, but
Interesting.
it's a little bit different because it's not like a human on human thing, but still you have your own interpretation of what is
Yeah.
coming out of the TV
Yeah.
screen, which is the same as like you and me talking to an extent, except that I can articulate hopefully better through actual body language.
Right.
And kind of just that, and not being affected by the lighting, even though we have great lighting
Right.
and all this stuff.
Well, because like production in it, you're telling a story and there's a person behind it who's kind of controlling a lot of the lighting.
Yeah.
They're controlling like the language of the actors, and it kind of, and even sometimes there's like multiple people kind of holding that front. So it becomes like far harder to like interpret almost. And I think I think that kind of links to the idea of like religion in a sense, or at least like ideology is like there's so much behind it
Mm-hmm.
that it's very hard to grasp exactly where it's coming from.
Yeah.
And so you kind of need to do a lot of like not cultural, contextual like studying and try to figure out the exact context in which certain ideas were developed in order to fully interact with them.
Yeah.
And therefore like
yeah.
negate them and therefore like
Which is like insanely hard, like almost impossible,
right.
because there's not. It's like what Harold Bloom says in the Western canon. It's like there isn't enough time. There isn't enough time in the human life
Right.
for, if all you do is read,
Right.
you cannot read every book in the Western canon.
Yeah.
Because it's just so extensive, and it's like constantly being added to. It's like you can't watch every YouTube video because
Right.
there's millions of minutes of footage being added to it every.
And that's why I think like it's necessary to have almost a directive so that you can contextualize the things you want to contextualize.
Yeah.
You have to have a kind of like source of operation and an idea of where you want to head and how you want to shape your reality so that you can shape your reality.
Mm-hmm.
Reality doesn't make sense in and of itself. Like what holds up the pillars of reality are like symbols. I think Zizek says this.
Yeah.
Is like it's the symbolic and all these kind of like clues that we get from like things beyond just like the set patterns of reality that hold up our concepts of reality.
Yeah.
So that's why like if you interact, that's why like at the end of such a deconstructionist period of time, that's why you get like everybody in philosophy just asking, oh, what's really real?
Yeah.
Like that's the stupidest question ever.
It's stupid.
Not ever.
It's
Like it
also,
makes sense in its context.
Right, exactly,
It's smart in its context. But in like if you take into account any form of like actual wisdom,
mm-hmm.
it's
Makes no
foolish.
sense.
It's
Yeah.
foolishness.
Right.
Because it's asking questions that don't really matter.
Yeah.
Because if you understand the context of things, you know that you can't know everything, and therefore have to have like an idea of where you want to head with things.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we look at our current time, we look at our current affair of things, state of Western civilization, it's like, is this where we want to head with things?
Mm-hmm.
We look at Christianity as it is, divided, separated, not really having any sort of real identity. And it's like, do we want to head with things into the future as it is now?
Mm-hmm.
I would say no.
Yeah. No.
I don't know if that's a hot take.
Well, no. It's the whole. It's like the. It's like what you're saying. Like you have to have somewhere that you're going.
Right.
The issue with postmodernism is that postmodernism doesn't let you go anywhere.
Right.
Because, so like in art at least, so like in like a movie, for instance, you'll have like a serious scene, but then you'll have some character come in and just make like a joke.
Right.
Which isn't unheard of in like film or
Right.
so. But like it's joking to the extent that it negates everything that came before it. Not in a serious way. Like there's the idea, so something that I think it was either Charlie Chaplin or Buster Keaton said, what I want to do with film is so there's a man walking on the sidewalk, and there's a banana peel on the sidewalk. I don't want to see him slip on the sidewalk, slip on the banana peel and fall, because that's like funny kind of once. But what I think is funny is if he steps over the banana and into the manhole, the open manhole on the road. That's funny.
Interesting.
So that kind of humor is okay, but what you can't do is make like a postmodern joke, which is something that comes in and negates the emotion of the scene.
Like he looks towards the camera and says, I'm not going to step on the banana because it's stupid and I'm smarter than that.
And so, yeah.
Right.
Because you can't go anywhere with that.
You can't go anywhere.
There's
no direction.
Right there.
Just
and then you have to restart and do something else.
It's the death of things.
Right, exactly. And so that's the kind of the absence of cultural literacy, I guess, in our
And like
Our
it's
society.
the concept of destruction is so important in history throughout different like mythos, like Shiva being both like the dualism of like destruction and life. In order for life to be reborn almost, it must be destroyed. And this kind of ties into the concept of death being a physical thing in Eden and at the beginning of creation. Because life without death is just death. Because it's stagnant and it doesn't move. The force of life is like ever flux and
There's
moving.
no change.
Like to shout out Heraclitus, you know, the river of life and flux. That doesn't exist without an opposing stagnancy, right?
It's like the Nile. Every like year it floods, and it offers it like takes away all the old gunk,
Right.
but it also like refertilizes the soil.
Right. What postmodernism does is it floods things,
And it keeps it flooded.
and then it's like all right, and now we're just flooded, and everything stinks, dude. And it's like there's no recreation, there's no mythos, and that's not like it's not to blame postmodernists all for that. Like it's due mostly in part to where the context of history was going to that point, and like we've seen the cycles.
Like
I haven't seen it personally.
If you look
I'm only
backwards,
20
it makes
years
sense
old.
that
But yeah, if you look into like the context of history, then like it makes sense why they would come to that conclusion. Because people have always come to that conclusion. That's why you have to see it and be like, all right, like what do we do with this? Like where do we go from here? So I don't know. Like that's kind of like what I guess me and you were trying to figure out is like where do we go from here? Like how do we kind of reevaluate?
Off of that, I'll go and So my professor at Emerson, Dr. Harrington. Dr. Harrington was at Regent. Dr. Shattuck. Dr. Shattuck.
It's like when
talks about.
It's like when you kiss a girl and say the wrong name. I love you so much.
Yeah, no.
Dr. Harrington.
No, it's Dr. Shattuck. Sorry, Dr. Shattuck. The new sincerity is kind of.
Is this the circle of irony?
It's a bit of the circle of irony. It's.
But that makes sense. Because to go into, sorry to cut you off, I'm getting excited, but like when we're talking about like the jokes, negation and stuff, like there is a new sincerity that comes after the negation of a good joke.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like you recognize reality for what it is through humor, and then because it's a lighthearted tone, you can kind of reconstruct.
Right.
You know.
So the issue is that it seems like with the new sincerity, I won't say every, but it seems like the philosophy that comes out of the previous one is almost like an overcorrection of the previous one.
Right.
And so with this idea of the new sincerity it's exactly what it sounds like.
Right.
It's trying to be sincere and reintroduce sincerity into culture and society. The issue is that if it takes on a life of its own, it's gonna overcorrect.
Right.
And then we're gonna
have to do the process again.
We'll have to do it all over again.
This kind of reminds me of like Hegel's dialect, where it's like the process of history, the culmination of just like overcorrections upon corrections, like the master-slave dialect, and just like going back and forth.
Yeah.
Because that's just the way things work. And then like him saying like the kind of conclusion of history is gonna be like the place of like, I don't know, what I kind of link it to is like I think his name is David Foster Wallace. You know the author of Infinite Jest?
I've heard of it.
His book was kind of about I haven't read Infinite Jest, but I've been watching a lot of interviews of this great guy. And it's kind of like it's almost like can we kind of apply that idea to kind of avoid the pitfalls or the manhole of new sincerity?
Yeah.
And engage in a worldview that is infinite jest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I need to read the book before I start talking about this subject more.
Yeah.
But it's just the pure ideal of that book is kind of like sticking out to me. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
The process of like not taking language too seriously.
Yeah. But speaking of language, taking language too seriously, that's kind of our Did I cover everything with the Tower of Babel?
I think you covered
It was a pretty simple idea. It
Yeah.
was just, it takes a little bit to explain.
Right.
Which I guess makes it maybe not that simple. But
Right.
um, there
you go, negating yourself.
Yeah. Circle of irony or something.
Circle of irony or something like that.
Yeah. So I was going to bed the other night. I was trying to fall asleep, and I had some thoughts
Right.
about what it means to be divinely inspired, or
Okay.
what people mean when they say this is the word of God.
Interesting.
Kind of inspired a little bit by a conversation I had with my dad about a week ago. Maybe yeah, it was about a week ago, I think. He was saying, so he was, the reason I showed this at the beginning was because this is kind of what he was talking about a little bit. So basically what my dad was saying was, because we were talking about something else, and he said, well, it's the inspired, or it's like divinely inspired, it's the word of God. And I was like, I don't know what that means. And so he thought about it for a minute. He said, all right, here's what it might be. He said, it's not that God was like holding their hand while they were writing it and making them write the book.
Yeah.
What it is it's almost like philosophy, where it's people who laboriously study and meditate on those things.
Right.
And they do this, which is they pull back the curtain of reality almost, and kind of see the gears turning behind it.
Right.
And so that's currently how I'm looking at what does it mean to be divinely inspired. Now, the issue with that is where's the line between that and taking the Lord's name in vain? Because taking the Lord's name in vain is assigning divine
intervention where it not necessarily was. There was no intercession.
Right.
There was no
where
intervention.
It either wasn't there or for your own causes.
Right.
Which is like, the more I think about it, the more I think that's like, it's so weird saying that a sin is worse than another sin in my book, but that's like one of the ones that's like, oh, that would definitely get you in trouble. Yeah. Yeah.
If you get put on timeout for a long time.
It's like when you do something and your dad comes up to you and says, hey, why are you doing that? And then you say, really well, because mom said I could. And then he asks mom, and she's like, I didn't say you could do that. And then you get in big trouble. Cause
Calvinism?
Literally Calvinism. So anyways,
I think that's interesting.
God reveals himself through existence, kind of like that. Nature, reality, human interaction. That's an interesting one. I was thinking about that because I think it's like asking the question, where do you see God? And it's a lot. I think it was Elijah who was talking about that, and he was like, did you see God here, or was it here, or was it here? And it's like, no, he was in the still small voice. Right. And so the question is, what is the still small voice? And I think it's a lot like what you were saying. It's like the meditation on things that seem to be good, or at least are generally speaking good, and searching for the truth. I sound like a youth pastor or something saying that.
No, you sound good, dude. You sound better than me. I sound like I'm about to cry.
Yeah.
I sound like a youth pastor sharing his testimony.
Yeah. I've got a little bit of the snot up here too.
Yeah,
it was draining.
I'm not trying to sound snobby. I'm just very nasally.
Yeah. You're just very snotty.
Yeah, nice, dude. Nice one.
Thanks. Yeah. Oh, right.
What would you? Oh, sorry. Go you.
Okay, so the question why do we consider the people who wrote the Bible, or even the Bible itself, to be divinely inspired? What makes someone like, I don't know, someone like Paul, or someone like Hosea, for instance? Like, what makes them, what gives them the right to be canonized versus
The
someone...
Nicene Creed, I guess.
Yeah, something like that. That was gonna be my next thing.
Not to be cynical.
No, you're good. That was where I was going with this.
Okay.
Which goes in. So this is what we were talking about the other night, which is so Nietzsche says that
whatever we can put into words is already dead in our hearts. There is always a contempt in the act of
Right.
speaking.
So with that idea, the question is, the act of writing the Bible, like the actual writing of the Bible and the canonization of it, does that
Detract from its divinity.
detract from its divinity? It's the idea in Gladiator, the first Gladiator, not the second one.
Which is the better movie.
Which is the better movie. Marcus Aurelius says to Maximus, he says, there was once an idea that was Rome, and if you would but whisper it, it would shatter. That's not exactly what he said, but it's something like that. And so that's the idea, is that like, is the Bible compromised because we wrote it down? Now, of course, just because you write something down doesn't mean it's dead, but it's the same idea as why did God plant a tree, two trees in the Garden of Eden, and be like, all right, so here they are. By the way, you can't eat them, even though that's like what it's like. If someone tells you not to do something, the first thing you're gonna think about doing is that thing.
Yeah. So to play devil's advocate, or rather, like, I guess angel's advocate.
Okay.
The common rebuttal for this would be, well, the Bible is the living word, right? And I think to an extent that's true. Well, I think it's actually true. There is a life within the Bible. There is a certain, I guess, life or essence of life, spirit, that comes from the Bible. Particularly, I would say the Old Testament. I think the New Testament is really good because it has Jesus in it, but I think it falls off kind of at the epistles.
Once you get past the Gospels,
it kind of falls off.
It does, yeah.
Acts is pretty good too.
Acts is pretty
okay. I would say after Acts, once you get into Romans, you're kind of
once Paul starts talking,
it gets worse, yeah. Which is like, I know, like a lot of people basically worship Paul, you know.
That's the issue, is that you can't start with Paul.
You can't start with Paul.
Yeah.
You got to start with Jesus.
You have to start with Jesus, yeah.
And so, like, people have to realize is, like, Paul, in a sense, is an outsider to the church and is an outsider to Jesus' ministry because he experienced Jesus' ministry secondhand. He wasn't a part of the Gospels. So there is a sense of where he kind of missed off, kind of like all of us missed off. Yeah. So Paul, in a sense, is about as word as Augustine or Aquinas.
Yeah.
And not exactly, because he has a lot more experience with the early church. And he had, like, personal experience with, like, people who, you know, met Jesus and lived with Jesus. Jesus was a real person, by the way. He's not a symbol. And he's he's also God.
Joshua ben Nazareth, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah.
That was his, like, Romanized name.
Right. Yeah.
Or his Jewish name. That there is, like, a record of him somewhere.
Right. Jesus was a real person. His ministry was real. All that.
Yeah.
And it was inspired by God. So I would say but we also have to recognize the human element to the Bible. Like, it was written by people. Yeah. Like, there's a book of J, there's a book of E. You know, there is like revision. There is like, you know, you can ignore it if you want. You could say, well, it's all divinely inspired, which maybe, yes, but that doesn't mean you can't take into context the like real dynamics at play in the writing of Bible, like the human elements.
It's like willful ignorance to like not
right
contemplate it.
Which, to a certain extent, willful ignorance is necessary in a worldview.
Oh yeah.
But it's like also like if something's like right there and not like something very like mystical and like symbolic, like I feel like you should acknowledge it. I don't know if that's a bad take.
No, it makes sense. It's like, and that's kind of the issue of like what we're trying to figure out, because it's like you can't say, it's like you can't say something is real because that thing says it is. You have to take it in
context.
It's like it is context, but it's also not really context. You have to like, I don't know, you have to like, I guess like taste and see. Right.
And here's the thing is you can cross-reference like Jesus' teachings in the Old Testament and see the divine implications of it throughout different forms of reality. Like you can see the set patterns at play. You can see kind of the divine forces at play in it.
Yeah.
But it's to say that's the only thing that's divine, and that in itself it's like absolutely everything there is to know about God, is a little bit silly.
Yeah. Because it's like there's so many other cultures and religions that have actually existed in the world. And you don't just like, I've been saying this to a lot of people recently, like, you don't just make up Zeus for the fun of it.
Right.
Like, that's like, to create an entire pantheon like that, like Hesiod, like knew what, like, there was something that like, was like, he was like, this is how this works.
Right.
And so he recognized something, and that's him like looking. Maybe it's like folk tales that he heard, but nevertheless.
Right. There's a certain oral tradition to it. There's a certain
myth,
like with Homer and stuff.
Yeah.
Homer didn't invent the pantheon, right? This was post.
No.
But he played with the forces of the pantheon in order to make mythology.
Hesiod wrote the Theogony, which is like the genesis of Greek mythology.
Interesting.
There's also Works and Days, which I haven't read. I read Theogony, and that one basically describes how the world was created and the battle between the Olympians and the Titans.
Right.
Which is not as it's not as cool as it sounds.
Right. No,
but it is really cool.
Okay.
If it was done right. The
like
Iliad,
if Scorsese did it, but like all the Olympians are like Italian mobsters.
Exactly, that would be cool.
Yeah, it would be cool. Wait,
just like birthing each other and then eating each other.
Right, it's like,
each other apart.
Yo, what is this?
This is what actually happens in the back, behind the deli counter.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, like a lot of media is like almost that like Oedipus type mentality of like things creating things and those things devouring them.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It'll be interesting to well, I guess it won't actually, because we'll be like super dead by then, but in like 1,000 years, when people look back at America, like I wonder what they'll say that our like pantheon will have been. Like will it be the movies that we're making now? Or is it like our founding fathers?
Or is it like our like literary influences?
What would be cool is if the founding fathers became the American pantheon.
What are we talking about?
No, hear me out.
Okay,
imagine. Okay, so what Harold Bloom says, he thinks that every god to ever exist was once an actual person.
Makes sense.
So what if in 1,000 years people conceptualize the founding fathers the way that we see like Zeus and Hera and stuff like that?
Interesting. I think in a sense, which I'm gonna hold on to that thought for now. I think in a sense that's very like plausible. Should I just say possible instead? I don't know why I said plausible.
Sure.
I think in a sense it's very possible. Hold on. I lost my train of thought because I was trying to reform my vocabulary. I think.
The possibility of
Yeah.
yeah. You got it.
It always comes back to me in the middle of like while somebody else is talking.
All right. Well,
Because I'm always
gonna
like
start
whenever
talking.
somebody else is talking, I'm always looking for something to say.
Gotcha.
Because I don't like listening.
Well, I'm gonna start talking
Okay.
again. Okay. So but what you were saying earlier. So that's Hesiod wrote that, and then Homer wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey. He wrote he.
Oh, I got it.
Okay.
I got it. So you know how like Bloom talks about like a new theocratic age,
Yeah.
almost,
Uh-huh.
and it's like in the future, like if it doesn't happen like recently, I guess there's gonna be like a new theocratic age,
Yes.
and it could come in the sense of like mythologizing like American origins almost,
Uh-huh.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That'd be cool. So like, what is the Iliad of? The Iliad of the new
Civil
theocratic
War?
age has got to be D-Day, right?
Why?
Like it's gotta be like World War II.
What's up, guys?
Hey.
I thought you were barefoot for a second. I was like, that's kind of crazy.
Dang.
So you're saying Iliad has to be D-Day? Why?
Oh well, I was saying like World War II, but like it would kind of work because it's on the beach.
Why wouldn't it just be the Civil War? Or the Cold War?
It could be that too. The Cold War, maybe. It's gotta be an actual war. I think that like humans fight. I mean,
they fought a lot through like remote viewing.
I mean, like shooting at each other.
Oh, shooting at each
Yeah,
other.
see, that's cool, but that's not like you're not gonna get butts and seats with that.
Well,
Unless-
who's to say that World War II isn't the Iliad of today? Because
That's
I feel
what I'm
like
saying.
how aware are we of the actual events that happened?
Right, exactly.
Not that I'm
That's
like
what-
a World War II denier or anything, or like I'm trying to like reshape history of World War II
Oh,
because it's a
really?
little too
Yeah.
recent. Some people say let's stay away from that. No, but like there is a sense of mythology already taking place in our current like mind frame of things.
Well,
Like,
yeah, I mean,
like essentially almost everything we are fed today in terms of information is essentially mythology to his point.
it's the mythology of World War II.
Right.
It's that narrative that's been fed to us for
yeah.
the past 80 odd years.
Mm-hmm.
And there, it seems like the reason that there's so much like just like BS in the world right now is because that narrative no longer applies to the emerging generations. Because millennials, I'll say Gen X, millennials, and Gen Z, and I guess Gen Alpha now, have almost no connection. Like, first of all, they were all born after it.
Right, due to the process
Well
of alienation.
after it.
Right.
The Gen Xers might have parents who fought in that war, maybe.
Right.
Millennials
Or
had
grandparents. Right.
who fought in the war.
I would say great grandparents for millennials and grandparents
Maybe.
for Gen Xers.
For Gen Z, it was our grandparents were born during that era.
Right.
And then Gen Alpha has no connection.
I don't think most Gen Alphas know what World War II is.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to ask like my sister about that because how old is she? She's almost 12, so she's Gen Alpha, which is weird to think about. But, like she knows, but also she was like classically educated. She is classically educated, so she knows what's up.
Right.
But anyways, the World War II myth is falling apart.
Okay.
And we need a new myth. A new
Well,
myth.
we either need a new myth or a new war.
We need a new war to create a new myth.
Right.
And
Makes sense.
that's why we have the new tradition.
But it's a war
But it's
of
a war.
minds.
It's a war of minds. It's like mind games.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
We're so good.
hydrogen bomb versus coughing baby. We're the coughing baby. You know what I mean?
One hydrogen bomb. All the entire hydrogen bomb arsenal of the United States versus one Palestinian child.
Right. Can't say that.
Oh shoot.
You're gonna get canceled.
Dang it. Anyways. All right. So. What else were we talking about? Oh wait, let me check.
You want to talk about Gnosticism a little
We're
bit?
gonna talking about Gnosticism. Oh, we got 8 minutes left in the upload. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's talk about Gnosticism.
So, what do you want to talk about with it? Because something that What If Altus pointed out was that every religion has its own Gnostic tradition to it,
Okay.
which is basically
A subversion of it?
it's basically like a subversion of it. So,
Okay.
like for instance, like Christian Gnosticism is the most famous because what it does is it takes
The creation myth.
it takes the creation myth. It takes God and the devil and kind of like reverses
Right,
their
the
positions.
positions,
And it
yeah.
says that God is actually not a good thing.
Well, like the God that kind of rules our reality isn't a good person.
Right.
Like he's the demiurge, and like God, the original creator, is like out. He's like outside looking in. Almost.
he's
Like
even,
he
like-
created things.
Yeah.
Fall happened, then he dipped.
It's like it's kind of like a weird version of deism,
Yeah.
but also
yeah.
not really.
Or like Gnosticism, I guess. Where, well, I mean, agnostic.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, whoa, really smart, Isaiah.
Nice, good stuff.
But agnostic, where it's like, oh yeah, God might exist, but I don't care, because he doesn't really play a part. Or like, I believe God exists, but I don't believe like he's like really interacting.
Yeah.
Which, what do you think about that?
I think there's probably more validity to that than we give it credit for.
Okay.
I think, but see, you're like trying to, that's like making a grand assumption without having done like this.
Right.
So that's my assumption without having done this.
Right.
This right here.
Yeah. I
So,
like the curtain.
um,
Well, for
That's-
the people who don't have a visual, Matt was pointing at the book.
oh yes.
Which
Yeah.
the portrait of the book, The Discover, is a man peeling back the curtain on like reality almost.
Yeah, he's like crawling under the sky to see all of the
Which is
angels
interesting.
and
The
stuff.
imagery of that, of him crawling, and not raising himself up, like to understand.
He's raising himself up after he gets on.
Right. There needs to be a sort of humility going
Yeah.
into like
Mhm.
which is a point I like to overemphasize, is like the humble approach to God. Of like, we talked about this last episode, of like not trying to lean on your own understanding and completely understanding God.
Oh.
Which like, okay, to be fair, like everybody's just gonna say like, oh, I'm not trying to completely understand God. I know God is mysterious. And it's like, you can say anything you want, but that doesn't mean you believe it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just because you say like, oh, I don't really think I know God completely. You can say that, but the version of God that you believe in is a completely known God to you that has been explained to you thoroughly throughout
Right. Okay.
history.
I just remembered everything we were going to talk about with Gnosticism. Okay, so the idea that we've been working on is that Christianity. So in the early church, what happened was there were a bunch of different factions of Christianity that emerged in the century or two after Jesus ascends into heaven, kind of based off of the Gospels and the Apocrypha and Paul's letters, there was a group of people called the Gnostics, and basically there was a kind of like a Cold War fought between what is considered to be Orthodox Christianity, which is basically like 95% of Christians today are Orthodox Christians, not the Eastern Orthodoxy, but like
Right.
the normal Christians, or what we consider to be normal.
Right.
There was a Cold War between them and the Gnostic Christians, and what we're thinking basically is that throughout the course of the past like 1800-ish years or so, Gnosticism was defeated initially, but then through the Protestant Reformation, we'll say the Protestant Reformation, the Renaissance, the Enlightenment, through those things, Gnosticism
Bled
resurged,
into Orthodox Christianity.
exactly, and infected it, and we're in the process of contemplating the idea that most Christians today are actually unknowingly Gnostic.
Christians. And not just purely from the basis of like their beliefs on like the demiurge or anything, but in the way they approach the image of God.
Yeah.
So for example, like a Calvinist, shout out Calvinists.
Yeah.
I feel like we're picking on Calvinists.
No, it's okay.
We have to bring a Calvinist on so we can be nice to them.
We'll have a Calvinist on.
So
I
we-
have a few Calvinists.
So we don't show we're mean guys.
Yeah.
But like a Calvinist, like the way they interpret God is like someone dealing a fate similar that the demiurge deals to humanity.
Mhm.
In the sense that it's like a cold, calculating, like know it all, like doom some to
Like
fate, doom some to
micromanager,
some of it. Yeah,
basically.
exactly.
Yeah. And so the idea is that
Like a control freak.
Yeah, so the idea is that basically and in Gnosticism, it's a little bit different than Calvinism, which is
A little bit. I think that's an understatement.
All right, so it's different from Calvinism or Christianity in that there's the divine spark which is in every human,
Right.
and the goal is to follow Jesus, who is like some sort of like archangel, basically. It's not actually that, but it's some sort of archangel who can then kind of like get you around the demiurge to get back to the
Right.
plenorma,
Plenorma,
which is like big God.
Big God.
And
Big God with a big capital G.
And so
which is similar to almost the Protestant take of like being able to like interpret the Bible like on your own, and like reaching like enlightenment on your own.
the gnosis.
The gnosis, yeah.
Yeah, the secret knowledge.
The gnosis.
Yeah, so the idea is that the demiurge kind of like creates the world and basically deals out fate, which is very similar to the Calvinist idea that God creates the souls and before all time
Picks and chooses.
who's going to heaven and who's fricked.
Yeah, who's going to hell, dude?
Which honestly really pisses me off because if you like read,
Don't get political.
if you actually read like, the Bible,
yeah.
before you get to Paul, it's very clear that like
That's not the case.
that's actually not how it works. But anyways,
Paul is the demiurge. No,
Paul might be the
Paul might be the demiurge.
No.
Oh shoot. Nah, shout out Paul. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
He means well.
He meant well.
Yeah.
Not a very good writer, but he meant well.
Yeah. Yeah. He kind of, if you take it in pure like how like the standard of like theological or like philosophical writers, like most of them would diss Paul.
Fundamentalist.
Yeah. most of them would diss Paul on his quality of writing.
Yeah.
Because if your writing is getting misinterpreted that bad,
It's insane.
it's
too.
it's a big skill issue.
I wonder how crazy that must have been for like the early Christians who all spoke like Aramaic.
Right.
Like I wonder if it was that bad for them too.
Yeah. They're like, yo, what is this dude
Because like
waffling on
there's
about?
like no end of interpretations of what Paul wrote nowadays.
Right.
But it's like, yeah.
Which is like, bro, Paul's kind of like Nietzsche in the sense that like he had a lot of good ideas, but he was a terrible writer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Nietzsche was too smart to be a good writer,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
He had good like aphorisms though. He
Yeah.
had good little quotes, which is similar to Paul. In a sense.
Yeah, I was reading what was I reading? Oh, the aphorisms, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good bit of knowledge, I guess. Wisdom.
Wisdom. Wisdom's very important.
It is.
Which is actually the Gnostic god is Sophia, I'm pretty sure. She's the creator.
Yeah.
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 And like I'm pretty sure Jesus is like the like has a part of like Sophia in him.
Yes, he's I think he's called like an archon or something. And he's like some kind of subdivision of the Sophia.
Yeah. Sophia.
Which is like crazy world building.
Yeah, it's good lore.
Gnosticism has amazing world building.
That's the thing.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's really good.
Yeah. It's great for like any fiction world.
Right.
It's awesome. Yeah. But as far as real life goes,
It's like,
it's
okay.
not quite right.
I think there's some interesting
Maybe.
Gnostic gospels though.
There are, yeah.
Like Thomas
hmm
and Enoch.
Is Enoch Gnostic?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think
Okay,
it
no,
is
no.
actually.
Enoch is not Gnostic. He's just not canon.
Yeah, it's
For
like,
me, for some reason, I interpret all the books that are not canon as like inherently Gnostic, but that's not
No.
true. Because Maccabees are not canon, but they're not Gnostic. They're Jewish.
yeah, there's a bunch of Jewish
Yeah.
apocrypha, according to the Protestant Church. But the Ethiopian Orthodox Church has the books of Enoch in the Bible.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're the only church in the world that has them as canon.
They got the DLC.
They did get a DLC. It was kind of like yeah, it's pretty cool. It was a bit too like psychedelic for
Right.
most people, but
Too symbolic.
yeah. It turns out Noah was actually an albino
How?
from the Book of Enoch. Yeah. So I don't know somehow. Oh, I have to tell you about Abraham as well that I read in.
He was an
Masters of
albino
God.
as well.
No. But his mom abandoned him in a cave. So
Interesting. Wait, that sounds
Okay,
a lot like.
so- all right, you ready for this?
Sounds like a lot like some interesting mythology.
Yeah.
There. There's a lot of abandoning in caves and a
Yeah, we'll
lot
talk
of
about
different mythologies.
Okay, so Abraham is born during the time of Nimrod, and who is like creating the Tower of Babel.
Is that why we call people Nimrods?
Yeah,
It's because of him.
yeah,
That's so funny.
yeah. But anyways, Abraham is born during the reign of Nimrod, who people theorize to actually be Gilgamesh.
Really?
From the epic. Yeah, I'll tell you about that too. And so Abraham is born, but it's the same thing as the early, like the birth of Jesus, where Herod like has all the babies in like Bethlehem like
Yeah.
executed.
And like the beginning of Moses.
Yeah, in like the beginning
Yeah.
of Moses, it's the same with Abraham in some like I forget what it is in some like ancient like Jewish tradition, but that happens to Abraham as well, and his mom hides him, and she's like, well, I'm not gonna take him back out of this cave
Right.
because they're just gonna kill him, so she leaves him there, and so God sends Gabriel, the angel, down to like keep him alive, and like he like makes his he makes the pinky on his right hand like into like a nipple, and he like sucks milk out of his hand.
Yo,
Yeah,
what the heck?
yeah, it's weird.
That's crazy.
I read that in this book, Master of God.
yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So then there's the idea of Nimrod being Gilgamesh, and that lines up. Where did I read that? I read that somewhere.
Well, because Gilgamesh,
I read that in
his
Master
whole
of God as
thing
well.
was he wanted to live forever.
Yeah,
So
which is what
That's what the Tower of Babel is, dude.
Yeah.
That's what the original sin is. It's the desire to escape physical death.
That's what we've been saying.
That's what we've been saying.
Segue. Okay, we're gonna get to Gilgamesh in a second. Sidetrack. Original sin is not true. The concept of the original sin
Right.
is true.
Okay.
There was an original sin which was committed, however you want to put it, by Adam or Eve or both of them.
Yeah.
But the idea that after Adam, through Adam, all have sinned.
Yeah.
When people take that to mean that every person has the mark of sin.
Mark of the beast, dude.
I'm putting air quotes on this mark,
Mark
by the
of
way,
Cain.
for those listening.
Yeah. Big air quotes going on.
Massive
over here.
air quotes. That is not true because that is a fundamental misunderstanding of what the word sin actually means.
What does it mean?
Sin is an archery term.
Okay,
And
go in.
when you sin, it's when you shoot the arrow and you don't hit the bullseye.
Ooh, okay.
You like that?
I like where you're
That's
going.
pretty cool.
I like this.
So basically, that is
That's
not
kind of
only not only is that logically no hold on, sorry. No, that's right, yeah. Not only does that logically negate the idea, the Catholic and Protestant idea of original sin,
Mm-hmm.
but it also so that's like logically negates it. It also literally, in the sense of like words and sentences, negates it too.
Right.
Because it literally doesn't mean that.
Mm. It's like almost like sin is like falling, succumbing to the death drive, like succumbing to the drive to escape physical death.
Right.
And so what I was telling back in
You're
May,
trying to change your destiny.
yeah, you're trying to change your fate. And back in May, the reason we had this like, one of the reasons why we had this kind of like meditation on the Garden of Eden,
Yeah.
was because based on the precept of because of like the dynamics of like death being a core tenet of like the construction of reality and like creation,
Yeah.
like then the sin is a spiritual one, like the it's like this weird fascination with like trying to escape physical death and thereby like fleeing from the fate that God has laid out. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And like his design. And so it's like obviously like if you're fleeing and you're turning away from God's design, then like that's literally sin.
Yeah.
Like it's missing the point.
Right. You're literally missing.
You're literally missing the bullseye.
So, anyways, original sin is not. That's not proper theology.
Not based.
If I'm not based. Basically, What were we going on next?
Do you want to go back to Gilgamesh?
Okay, so anyways, I read this in Masks of God, Occidental Mythology by Joseph Conrad. That's
Joseph Campbell.
That's Heart of Darkness.
Joseph
Campbell. What was he saying? So basically, he was talking about there's archaeological evidence that Nimrod as described in the Bible, and Gilgamesh from the Epic of Gilgamesh, who was one of the first kings. He may have been the first king of like Sumeria or something.
Okay.
Or
Macedonia?
No.
No.
He was in the Fertile Crescent.
Oh.
Anyways, the theory is that they're actually the same dude. And if that is the case, Nimrod. Oh, here's why it makes sense. Okay, so in the beginning, more or less, God, there's kind of this theory that the way that the earth was created, this actually didn't read in this book, I just made this connection a second ago. The theory goes that when God created the earth, that there was like the atmosphere was much thicker,
Mm-hmm.
and so therefore it was more humid, which caused things to grow much bigger. So that's why we have fossils of like these enormous like insects and stuff,
Yeah.
because the world could just like sustain them better.
Mm-hmm.
So the uh the a an idea that comes out of that is that, well, maybe that means that humans were bigger too.
Interesting.
And so I watched a YouTube video of this guy
Like
explaining.
that explains kind of like giants and like
Well,
Goliath.
that's what
in a
I'm
sense.
saying. Yeah. What it does is okay, so there's this guy I watched on YouTube. I forget what his name is, but he's like a researcher. He's not a scientist. He's like a biblical scholar, and he goes to like all the sites in the Bible, and he was talking about the Drippenar site, which is where they think that Noah's Ark landed.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about how you can follow this rough line, like squiggly line of these massive stones that were the stones that held the ark level when it was on the ocean during the flood. And you can see them, and they all lead directly to the site that this big, well, where they think that. Okay, so anyways, near one of these stones, they found a grave site, which they theorized to be the wife of Noah.
Okay.
And also, but the thing is that the grave is for like a person who's like 13 feet tall.
Okay.
Okay, so the idea is that in the beginning, humans were actually like pretty tall.
Right.
Like at least twice as tall as they are now.
Right.
And so the idea that Gilgamesh was actually like, however, like 15 feet tall, like he's described, is not
far off,
out of the realm of possibility.
Right.
Which also means that Nimrod could have been that tall too, which doesn't really explain why they're the same. I forget exactly why they were the same guy, but there was a good reason. They're
tall, so they're the same guy.
Exactly.
Right.
There was a good reason. I forget what it was though.
We could touch back on it in the further.
Come back to that in a different episode. But yeah.
It is really interesting though.
I forget. I think there was like someone else I wanted to talk about too, but I forget what it was. But how long? What are we doing here? We're going on an hour and 16 minutes.
We can wrap it up here.
Might want to wrap it up here.
Alright, guys. Well,
yeah, I gotta go upload the first episode.
Yeah,
with John.
Which is honestly like, I feel like this one went a lot better.
Yeah.
I like this one a lot.
This one we got going.
Yeah.
Like there was a solid like little bit of time where we were like cooking for a little bit.
Yeah.
It was like a 25-minute period.
Right.
Towards the end here.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit longer.
Right. Well, you have to. Were you recording before we like officially started?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So we're probably actually at
like an hour.
Now.
Yeah. Okay, that's pretty good.
Maybe like an hour and 5 minutes.
There was some tidbits that you could probably include from the beginning though.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'll
dice it up.
Figure that out.
Cook it up in
later.
the kitchen.
Yeah.
All
right, gang. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for tuning in.
This has been the New Tradition, episode 2.
Episode 2, dude.
And
Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you in the next one, I guess.
If you care to tune in again.
If you care to tune in
if you didn't get scared off.
If you didn't get scared off.
I'm scared of like my
Isaiah's tissues.
Yeah, I'm scared of like my family watching the first episode and then just not even bothering to like ever watch another episode. Like he's too far gone.
Yeah, there's no saving this guy.
Yeah.
All right.
My salvation is not to be found in man, though.
Real.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You guys know what I mean.
Yeah, for
sure.
sure.
You know what I mean. All right. I gotta get some rest. I'm sick.
Holy crap, you're right.
So
Is
bad
it?
for me.
Oh my gosh, it's 11:25. All right.
Bye-bye.